Hello students, welcome again. Students, in our previous video lecture, we discussed the character of Lucy as found in the novel A Tale of Two Cities. Today, we want to discuss an important character, the character sketch of Sydney Carton in this novel A Tale of Two Cities written by Charles Dickens. You see, as far as this novel is concerned, the historians of English literature believe that there are two heroes, Charles Darnay and Sydney Carton. But today we want to understand how Charles Dickens has presented this character and how this character has been developed all through the novel. See, we know that Charles Dickens is an important, extraordinary novelist of the Victorian age. Why? Because he has been remembered for his absolute art of characterization. Charles Dickens is loved by the readers of English literature just because of some of his immortal characters. Okay, in this novel, we have some very important, outstanding, stunning characters like Sydney Carton, Charles Darnay, Lucy, and Dr. Alexander Manet. Okay, and today let's discuss this character Sydney Carton, who is presented as a dynamic character. In one of my previous videos I have discussed two types of characters, flat characters and dynamic characters, right, round characters. So Sydney Carton is a kind of a round character who changes with the course of time in this novel. In the beginning, he has been presented as a carefree, as a wasteful drunkard. Okay, he is presented in his youth, in his 40s, but later on, from this carefree approach to life, he becomes a serious character later on in the novel. So how we find him in the beginning? We find him in the beginning of this novel as a wasteful drunkard in his 40s. Okay, he is one of Dickens' most tragic and dynamic characters. Why tragic? Because we know at the end of the novel he sacrifices his own life. Okay, and that wins the sympathy and love of the readers. In the beginning, he describes himself as a supreme waste of life. These are his own words. Okay. Moreover, he also says that I am a disappointed drudge. Drudge means a very common man, a worker, a labor, right? I am a disappointed. Disappointed means unhappy. I am an unhappy worker, sir. I care for no man on the earth, and no man on the earth cares for me. So he says that no one cares for me, and I even do not care for anyone. So this kind of a man, Sydney Carton, is presented in the beginning of this novel by Charles Dickens. But from this attitude to this carefree attitude to life, we find a gradual, slow change in this character. Charles Dickens has presented this character with a very important reason. What reason? In one of my previous videos, I discussed the themes in this novel, A Tale of Two Cities. What are the themes of this novel? The themes of this novel are redemption and sacrifice and resurrection. Okay, these are some Christian ideas of redemption. Redemption means moksha or sacrifice, tyag. The idea of sacrifice has been actually projected in the novel by Charles Dickens only with the character of Sydney Carton. Had there been no Sydney Carton in this novel, there would have been no theme of redemption and sacrifice in the novels. And that is the reason why thematically also this character is very important. We know that this novel is set in the background of French Revolution, okay, and how the two cities, Paris and London, are affected. There is an impact of this French Revolution on London and on Paris. So the whole story revolves in the background of this French Revolution, okay, and you mark these words which we find in the beginning of the novel by Charles Dickens. Dickens has presented a paradox, a contrast of ideas in the very first line of the novel. What are these lines? It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Means it was a good time, it was a bad time also. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. Okay, wisdom was there and foolishness was also there. Both are paradoxical words, okay, contrasting words. It was the age of, it was the epoch of belief. Epoch means era, age, time. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. Incredulity means disbelief. So belief and disbelief, wisdom and foolishness, good days and bad days, all were going together in this novel. Now you must be wondering why I am reading these lines. These lines are very important to understand the themes of this novel and at the same time to understand the characters who are presented in this novel. You see the character of Sidney Carton. There we find foolishness in the beginning of this novel in this character, wisdom at the end. Yes or no? Okay. Worst times in the beginning of his life and good times at the end of his life. Disbelief in this character is presented in the beginning of this novel and belief, okay, love, the idea of love is found in this character towards the end of the novel. So these paradoxes, Sidney Carton is considered as the hero of the novel. Why? Because he is the main source of revealing this central idea of paradoxes of wisdom and foolishness, belief and disbelief. Okay. Not only this, the ideas of resurrection, the idea of redemption and sacrifice, these ideas are also presented by Charles Dickens with the help of this character Sidney Carton. Presented as a carefree, wasteful man in the beginning of this novel, this character sacrifices his own life at the end and he becomes a martyr to project the theme of redemption, to project the theme of sacrifice. Okay, and that is the reason why this character is very important as far as the presentation of theme of sacrifice, of redemption is concerned. Okay, and that is why we consider Sidney Carton as the hero of the novel. Another important reason why we consider him as the hero is that he is actually presented as a representative youth of the Victorian era, okay, or the whole young generation of the Victorian era. He has idealism in his love, okay, his love is ideal. Once he starts loving Lucy, he loves her absolutely till the last moment of his life. That is the whole ideal concept of love which we find in this character. He meets Lucy, okay. Here there is a little bit spelling mistake in case of Lucy. The correct spelling is Lucie. He meets Lucy and falls in love with her in a very short period of time. He starts thinking that only Lucy can be a proper life partner with whom he can lead a happier life, because his life is not happy before Lucy comes in his life. He is a drunkard, he is an extravagant, carefree man. He doesn't find happiness anywhere in his life, but when he meets Lucy, he has a ray of hope in his mind that perhaps with Lucy I will be a happier person. Okay, it was in his days of unhappiness that he meets Lucy, and he starts thinking that Lucy can rehabilitate his life again. But you remember William Shakespeare, in one of his plays, Shakespeare rightly said that the path of true love is not always rosy. Okay, in true love, your journey is not always easy. It is full of obstacles. In case of Sidney Carton's love also, we find that he has to face harsh realities of life in his love. He comes to know that Lucy is actually in love with Charles Darnay, right? That was a big shock to him, because he loved Lucy, but Lucy loved Charles Darnay. So that was a shocking news for him, but he fully understands the nature of true love, and that's why he believes in the ideal of sacrifice. His love for Lucy was always selfless. Sidney comes out as a symbol of true love in this novel. Why? Because when he realizes that actually Lucy loves Charles Darnay, then he withdraws himself. And when Darnay was in trouble, when Charles Darnay was arrested by the government officials, mistakenly arrested by the government officials, okay, at that time he enters into the jail, okay. And Charles Darnay and Sidney Carton, both were looking similar. Their faces were similar. So he enters, somehow he manages to enter into the jail, into the prison, and puts on his clothes. Whose clothes? Charles Darnay's clothes. And then he asks Charles Darnay to run away from that place. So he takes the place of Charles Darnay, and at the end he sacrifices his own life for the sake of love for Lucy. He believed that if Lucy is happier with Charles Darnay, I must save the life of Charles Darnay in order to protect the happiness and safety of Lucy. So this is indeed a great sacrifice. He sacrifices his own life for his love, Lucy. So that makes him a hero of this novel, and that wins the sympathy of the readers. He comes out as a true martyr in love life, and he comes out as the true hero in this novel. So in short, you can say that Sidney Carton is the true hero of the novel, who sacrifices his own life to make Lucy happy. Okay, in the beginning, though he is presented as a carefree, wasteful drunkard, okay, but later on he becomes a serious person. He changes and he becomes a responsible man, and that is why we consider this character as a dynamic character, as a round character. I hope now the idea is clear. If you have any doubts or questions, do write to me in the comment section of this channel, and please do subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you.